The first series, Boston Celtics versus Miami Heat. This series ain't gonna go too long. It's gonna go 4 games, obviously, but the Celtics could just move to the next round, even though, the Miami Heat try to assassinate Jason Tatum. If, this series there's not even a lot to talk about within this series. In game 1, it was, what we expected. The Boston Celtics were going to clap the Miami Heat. Jason Tatum had a triple-double. The Celtics are good. And we'll see them in the next round face off against Orlando or Cleveland, which should be another series that they're going to walk all over either team. The Bucks versus Pacers, I thought this was a good game 1 for the Bucks. Damian Lillard, from the beginning of the game, 19 points in the first quarter, 35 points in the first half, and then he put up Tony Snell stats in the second half, didn't do much of anything. But Chris Middleton, 23 points, Bobby Portis, 15. The Bucks still were, really successful without, Giannis, and they have the skill, they have the talent to still beat the Pacers. And I expected the Pacers to come out and take an advantage of Giannis not being in this game and do some things differently. Siakam, he played really well, 35 points. Miles Turner had 17. So those two guys, give them credit. They played well. And in the second half, the Pacers did turn up the heat, but it wasn't enough because the Bucks still had Chris Middleton. He was able to make some shots. Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez. So it wasn't enough in the second half. And Halliburton, what the fuck? 7 shots he took, 9 points. Just this Pacers team with Halliburton hasn't been the same since the in-season tournament and since his injury. Like, he hasn't been the same player. He's not an all-star player. He's not playing at that level, at least. So it's really tough. They have the best, pace. They play at the best pace in the NBA. And just seeing him not be that effective and only taking 7 shots too, what are you doing? You got to be a big-time player in the playoffs, especially with the opposing team without their star player, and he just wasn't that. So the Bucks, if this continues, if Halliburton only takes 7 shots and they're able to control him, I think they could sweep the Pacers. They could sweep them without Giannis, which would be crazy if you told me that at the beginning of this series. The Knicks versus 76ers. I really think that the 76ers would have won this game if Embiid didn't do that dunk. If he didn't do that dunk, the Sixers are winning this game because they were able to get things going. They had rhythm, they had momentum, and then Embiid does that dunk. He gets hurt. They lose every piece of momentum they had. The team, they were holding their heads down. They gave up a huge lead to the Knicks. The Knicks were making shots, and when he came back, third quarter, thank God he was able to come back out on the court. But when he came back, they were able to get things going. They had a good third quarter. They went on a run. But if they don't lose all that momentum they had when Embiid was out there and healthy, I think they steal that game. And I don't think the Knicks are able to have Josh Hart and Deuce score 20 points. Deuce couldn't miss a shot. Josh Hart, he was draining threes too, 4 for 8 from the 3-point line, and he had 20 points. So I don't think that happens consistently. Jalen Brunson, the game plan to stop him was effective. Nick Nurse had a great game plan. They just need to make 3-pointers. They need to get rebounds. And I think this next game, though, the 76ers could very much win. They need to, too. But Tyrese Maxey had 30 points. Embiid still had 29. So you got to feel confident in that. Jalen Brunson, like I said, bad shooting performance. He wasn't able to knock down anything. So I think you got to feel confident about that. If you're the 76ers, they got to go out there and, hope that they could get this game too. They need to today. So I give credit to the Sixers and the Knicks. The Knicks knocked down shots, but I think the 76ers should still win the series in 7 games. The Magic really couldn't get shit going offensively. Their spacing was terrible. They were, the Cavs were begging players to shoot. They were leaving them wide open and helping other Paolo Banchero. They weren't allowing him too much space, allowing him opportunity to knock down shots, which that's a good game plan because the Magic, Jonathan Isaac couldn't get shit going. Franz, he wasn't shooting threes, and the Cavs were begging him to shoot. So great game plan by the Cavs. They executed. Jared Allen, Mobley, they did good defensively. And Donovan Mitchell, He was Donovan Mitchell. He had 30 points. So, you know, the Cavs, when stuff like this happens, if Franz isn't being effective in the game and it's just Paolo Banchero putting up 20 points, they're going to win that game every time. And the Cavs, they could sweep this series. And this is probably one of the most uninteresting series in the playoffs. Not a lot of people are going to watch this, especially after game one.
Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.